Welcome to the Frozen Layer podcast, brought to you by ZenTek Consultant CA, where we will discuss all things related to the CAD, BIM, and construction markets, with a little humor thrown in for good measure. I am your host, Steve Fahie. Let's get into it. Our goal with the Frozen Layer is to share valuable information that our CAD, BIM, and construction clients will find useful and help them increase productivity, just like freezing a layer in CAD. Today, I have two special guests joining me, Jim Coppinger and Rocco Parisi, the founders of ZenTek Consultants. Welcome to the first Frozen Layer podcast, guys.
Hey, Steve. How you doing today?
Thank you, Steve.
Doing well. A little bit cold, but it's Canada. What are we going to do? It's almost November.
There you go. This is why we don't live in Canada. I don't like the cold.
Hey, Rocco told me it's cold in New Jersey this morning, so don't try and pull that out.
Well, yeah, cold for us, but it's like a summer day for you. So I don't know that counts.
I'd like to start with a little bit of the background on Jim and Rocco, so that all the people that we're dealing with in Canada can learn a little bit about where you guys came from in the industry and what led to the opening of ZenTek. Jim, would you like to start with your background?
Yeah, so I have been working in the construction and design industry for 4 full decades now, which is really frightening. Started off as a construction laborer, worked my way up through, project super and estimating, and then finally inside where it was warm, because like I said, don't like the cold. So I got in, did a little bit of estimating and some project management from in-house, and then worked my way over to the design side, right, where I worked as an architectural designer for a bunch of years, and then got into the civil world. Probably spent the bulk of my time in the civil site design space. Worked in the industry, some of the largest engineering firms here in the U.S. For decades, and then actually wound up making a little jump over to the Autodesk side of the world. Went to work with an Autodesk reseller that I had been working with for years, and that's where I first fell afoul of this gentleman named Rocco Parisi, who dragged me into evil ways, and we decided that, hey, you know what, we're here at this company doing all of this work, basically running the company as the two senior management guys. We should probably go ahead and do this for ourselves, and that's how we started ZenTek.
Interesting. Rocco, your background?
Yeah, I graduated from Marist College back in the late 90s in 98, and
Rocco's old.
Worked. That's a while. That's a ways back, and worked a couple small jobs in banking, and eventually got into in 2000 got into sales, inside sales, working for an Autodesk partner. And in 2005, shifted over to a different Autodesk partner. And so back in, when was it? I guess 2015, 2016, there were a lot of changes going on with Autodesk and the shift to the annual license structure and changing, cutting partners and so on. And so it was time to make a change, and the partner that we were working for was being chewed up by a larger partner, and so it was like either become middle management there and see what happens with the crazy Autodesk changes that were going on, or partner with the knucklehead here, Jim, and so that's what. That's what kind of drove me to move in that direction. And my family is we come from a background of everyone having their own businesses, and so it was like, well, why not give it a shot, And Jim and I got along, like we said, and like Jim said, and so gave it a shot, and so moved up from sales to marketing to management, and now to being part owner of ZenTek. So. Thanks for having us, Steve.
Excellent. And just so you know, I have seen Jim's ID, and he is older than Rocco. And he is.
You had to point that out, huh?
You are also you are also several months older than me, so I've got that on you as well. Not much, but I'm still young.
So I'm the ancient guy here. Show a little more respect, would you?
So I'd like to have a quick overview on our training. We have a very different approach to how we deliver training to our clients, and I know the approach very well and the benefits of it. But for clients who are listening, perhaps for the first time and learning about ZenTek Consultants and what we do to help our clients, I'd like you to give us a quick overview on our unique approach and why we feel it is a better method of learning. Jim, would you like to answer that one?
Yeah, I can do that. So, part of what I had done in kind of, we'll call it my professional life, right before starting ZenTek, I had been responsible in very large engineering firms for their training and development and CAD and design systems. So I had spent lots of years, engaged in training myself and organizing training for all of my employees. And from a financial standpoint, I kind of get what most companies want to do and what was kind of the traditional method at the time, which was, hey, we're going to pay a trainer, we're going to bring him in for, a day or two and let him train, and everybody's going to sit in a classroom and take notes. It was like a high school setting. And you got kind of the same results you do at a high school. You had two people up front who learned stuff, and everybody else kind of threw spitballs at each other and slept. So really just overall, almost all the training we ran that way was a failure. And when Rocco and I started, one of the areas that we both talked about extensively was training, because we knew it was going to be a big part of what we did here at ZenTek. And what we decided to do was to look at retention rates. And we spent some time really doing some research to find that, once you move past the 2-hour mark, the retention rate of whatever it doesn't matter what you're teaching anybody, right? It's anything. After the 2-hour mark, the retention rate drops by almost 90%. It's insane. After the 2-hour mark, nobody's learning anything. So we said, okay, we're going to do our classes in these 2-hour blocks. And because we had kind of positioned ourselves way back when we first started this out as a completely digital company, right? Working remotely, doing everything remotely with online services, even before the online Zoom and Teams boom of the COVID era. Rocco and I were already in that space. We decided that, doing 2 hours a week was the way to go, right? We would do a 2-hour class every week. That would give everybody the opportunity to learn what we were putting down. They could, work side by side with a live instructor online, and then they could take that 2 hours of learning and put it to practical use that same day. They had time to go in and do that. And then, we split our 8-hour classes or more, right? We split them into, these once a week sessions. So an 8-hour class would be spread across, 4 weeks at a time. And we got just an incredible response from that. The students loved it. They were, like I said, able to test things, try things that they had just learned, come back with questions in the following class. And it worked out really, really well. And I think one of the biggest benefits there was really on the management end. A lot of the managers were thrilled that rather than, losing 10 employees for, 8 hours or 16 hours this week of non-billable time where you're not making any money, that's where the big loss would really come in. We were doing it, people could just sit for 2 hours at their desktop and then go right back to work, so it was a huge production boost for them to train this way. So that's kind of why we went in that direction, and that's how we do it.
Yeah, and we frequently hear that it costs more to take the people out of production than it does to pay for the training. And another thing that I like, and I've been told by clients, is they appreciate the live training, but they also really appreciate that we record the session and make it available for them for the 7 days following. Because everybody learns a little bit differently, and some people learn well in the live section. Some people learn best when they're in control and they can pause it and go back and listen to it again at their own pace. So having both of those mixed together really gives the client the ultimate in flexibility.
Yeah. And the reality that goes along with that, Steve, is that we're all really busy, everybody. And, whatever industry you're in, you're overworked. Probably underpaid too, but we're all overworked. And, people can't always make the class. Emergencies come up, there are problems on the job site, a design had to be completely redone, there's a deadline, whatever. And sometimes people who are scheduled to be in a class can't be there live. And that's why having that recording that they can still get to, the following day or 3 or 4 days later, that's a huge plus for them. And we've had a lot of folks who are like, hey, really sorry, can't make it tomorrow, but I'll catch up before the next class. Happens all the time.
Yeah, and it's nice we have that flexible option for them. A key ingredient to any successful company is their ability to adapt as they grow and make changes to meet their clients' needs. Rocco has mentioned to me that when ZenTek started, and you alluded to it earlier, Jim, that you really focused heavily on training and also trying to sell some Bluebeam software. But now ZenTek, although we're still a very well-positioned training company, we also have a much larger hand in the consulting world. At what point did we make the change to become consulting a much larger part of the company?
Yeah, Steve, I think it's it evolved over time, right? I mean, it kind of started from the very beginning, but as we started to follow up with the folks who were taking training with us, it's like, okay, so now we understand what the product can do, and what we can do with it, but we don't have the time or really enough experience to take it to the next level. So, how do we get to a point where we're really utilizing Bluebeam or really utilizing CAD, Civil 3D, Revit, AutoCAD, BricsCAD? How do we really take it to that next level? And that's where deeper conversations started. And it was all right. Let's have a meeting and talk about what we can do for you guys. And so, smaller customers became larger customers, and larger customers became even larger customers from the growth standpoint. And so, now thankfully we've developed a reputation where folks are coming to us and they know us as a trusted partner with experience in the field. So it's been an evolution, let's say, over time.
Yeah. Well, I feel it's important to have training and consulting being offered in combination, especially for clients in our industry. In Canada, I have clients telling me on a weekly basis if they could hire more staff, they could secure more work. There just doesn't seem to be enough people entering the workforce with the qualifications required to meet the current demand. In Canada, the amount of skilled trades people retiring is greater than the amount of people entering skilled trade programs. The governments up here in the federal government and provincial governments are allocating huge grants to community colleges to try and encourage more people to come into the skilled trades. This leads me to my next point. One of the areas I'm most impressed with at ZenTek is our ability to work with our clients, analyze their current situation, and advise a plan to increase their efficiencies, which makes them more productive. And, increasing productivity is the equivalent of adding additional staff. And our ability to combine the required consulting services and training is key. And in most cases, we do this with them using the existing software that they own. Jim, how do you think this combination has helped our clients in your view?
Yeah, I think you hit on a really important point there, Steve, which is trying to focus on the software that they have and work with the workflows that they already have and make them better. I think one of the things that does happen is, particularly in the technology space, right? There's kind of a distinct line between software resellers and consultants. And then to be fair, like you said, we started off primarily as software resellers and trainers, and we've kind of made that shift over the years into that consulting space. And I think that the big difference between the two is that the prime driver behind a software reseller is they're supporting the software you bought from them because they want you to stay with them and buy more software from them. So their answer tends to be, oh, there's a new package, or oh, there's another upgrade, or oh, there's a new module that'll make all your problems go away. It doesn't. It really doesn't. Like I said, we did that for years. We lived in that space on both the professional and the sales side. And more often than not, the right answer is not more software. The right answer is making better use of what you already have, right? Going in and getting, better configured tools, automating processes. All too often, and it does tie back, I guess, to the training a little bit, right? Particularly around systems like, Bluebeam, right? Because it is such a ubiquitous system. It's in use everywhere, and it's a low cost, package. So a lot of times what happens is that these companies will buy 20, 30 licenses, put it on everybody's system and say, it's an easy thing. It's like Adobe. It's for PDFs. Figure out how to use it. And people do. They figure out a way to get their work done. But just because you have a way, it doesn't mean it's the best way. right? And you get 30 people all doing things that they kind of figured out on their own that conflict with each other. And it slows down production. It kills your efficiency. And when we can go in and talk to these clients and say, look, if we optimize it like this, we set a process, you guys told us what you need to do from A through Z. Here's how we, do it in tandem. And I'm always thrilled when we get into those scenarios, when we start discussing what they can do, and you see all of the end users going, oh my God, I had no idea that Bluebeam could do that, or I had no idea that I could do that in a CAD system. You know how much time that's going to save me? And there's the win. That's exactly when the clients are like, oh, these are the guys we've been looking to partner with. And that's really what we try to do. We're not here for those one-off engagements, right? Where we come in, we do the big job, we get the paycheck, and we go. Those are nice. Everybody likes the big payday. But, the reality is, as a business owner, what we really need to strive for here is ongoing partnerships with our clients. I'd much rather, bypass, the $100,000 job tomorrow in exchange for, $10,000 jobs for the next 10 years. I'll get the same amount of money in the end, but this way everybody's happy. They're not freaked out. You get a lot less resistance from management on those smaller budgets, and my people are getting continuous cash flow to maintain, their workloads. It's just a better way to go. And I think you were absolutely dead on, Steve, when you pointed out that by increasing the efficiency of what you have, by doing what you do faster and easier and smarter, it's just like hiring more people. But the truth is, there are no people out there to hire in this market, and that's the hard part. And that's where the consulting services, I think, really come into play.
Yeah. And, I always think if I taught myself how to drive and I put my car in reverse and it moved, I might think that's the way to drive my car. It seems a little slower, but I'm getting where I'm going. And then someone taught me that, hey, if you put it in drive and go forward, it's a lot quicker.
There you go. Good analogy.
All right, we're going to break for a quick commercial and we'll be right back. Today's Frozen Layer podcast is being brought to you by our ZenTek development division. ZenTek has developed Zen Estimate Tools. Our solution runs on top of your Bluebeam Review, the world's leading takeoff and estimating solution. Zen Estimate provides you with all the estimating tools you need for fast, accurate, and consistent quantity takeoff and estimating. Zen Estimate Tools for Bluebeam Review can save you hundreds, if not thousands, of hours on your projects and help provide consistent output and results across your entire company. To learn more about Zen Estimate Steel and Zen Estimate HVAC, visit our website, zentekconsultants.net, or give us a call, 866-824-4459, or you can email sales@zentekconsultants.net. ZenTek Consultants CA for all your technology consulting needs. Welcome back. Jim, you mentioned about the Autodesk reseller channel. I spent over 28 years working for an Autodesk reseller here in Canada.
Which tells me you're old too.
Well, yes, it does tend to roll on, and the hill gets steeper every year.
It does indeed.
Yeah, I do understand, how easy it is for clients to rely on their software provider for training and support. Like I said, I provided that service for them for many, many years. But as you mentioned, it's not always the best option for the client because the resellers are under so much pressure to continually move product. They have huge annual budgets, quarterly budgets, and their focus is to have the client need more software, want more software, buy more software, or they'll never make their quota. What advantages do you feel we have compared to the reseller channel where we don't have that pressure on us to continually move software? We can just focus on meeting the client's needs. Rocco, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, for one, we don't have the quotas, the crazy quotas that Autodesk imposes. We're driven by the need to pay our own mortgages and fill our own stomachs, right? And ultimately to really make customers happy, to make sure that they're successful in utilizing the tools, the technology effectively, and utilizing the technology that they have. Not that we promote a customer using a very old version of software. But I mean, if somebody comes to us and says, "Hey, I'm running Civil 3D 2021, we want to help building CAD standards around Civil 3D 2021. We're not able to move up to 2024 right now. Can you help us?" Sure. We're not driven by that. Oh, you have to be current. You have to buy new seats. Kind of structure. So I think that's kind of what distinguishes us. I'm not sure if you've got anything more to add there, Jim.
I think
It's
it
just
goes
what
back to
comes to
Steve, what
mind.
you were saying earlier, right? Which is that, we have made that shift to a consultant, right? And our primary focus is on the success of our client. That's how we make our living, right? So our focus is on them, and it's not on meeting a quota that's been put in by a third party. We're not a subsidiary of, Autodesk or Bluebeam or any of the other software that we work with. Sure, we sell software, but it's a small part of what we do. Our number one priority is in that consulting space. And I think that's what makes the difference. Who are we truly working for? We're working for our client. We're not trying to sell them anything. Right? We're trying to make sure that they're getting what they need in the most cost-effective and efficient way possible.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, I think what it comes down to is the ability to listen to the client without an agenda or a pressure of knowing that I hope I can find a way to move us some software here to go with some training if they need it. So, we're listening to their needs and proposing a solution to meet the need as opposed to just trying to move software. So I think, having as many years in the industry as I have, working on the Autodesk side and knowing how that works, I think the advantages are huge for us to be free to listen to what the client needs and make a recommendation that's in their best interest. So I think that you covered off all the points there, Rocco and Jim, and I think that clients as they move to us and deal with us will see the change, and it feels like an easier conversation to have of what they need to improve their productivity as opposed to just buying
I think you're
software.
absolutely right, Steve. When you go in with an open mind, and we can have one, right? Because we're not coming to the table with we have to sell X software, so whatever answer we provide is going to be focused on X software. We don't care. We're going to come in and listen to what your problem is, and we're going to say, hey, that software that you're paying for, you don't need that. Get rid of it. You can do that in the other software that you already have, and you can do more. Save money, save time, and focus on that piece. Even when it's a piece that we don't sell, support, you know what I mean? Sometimes no, that's a better system. No, we don't really do that. We won't sell it to you, but we can help you, customize it and support it and train on it. Sure.
Yeah. So that brings me to my next thought and question. In addition to our service offerings, training and consulting, we have developed custom in-house solutions that we make available to clients and we do sell. We have Zen Estimate, ZenTek Review Tools, ZenPipe for Civil 3D, Pressure Networks, Facility Control System for Bluebeam Review. It almost seems contradictory where we just finished having a conversation where we don't focus on selling things and we've developed solutions for clients how we sell them. But I think the real big separating factor here is that our tools are add-ons based on productivity. And if you don't require it, you'll get no benefit from it. But if you do require it and you are using those tools, it's going to make you more efficient, more productive, and have better control. Jim, you're the primary developer for our solutions. What led you to create the solutions we currently offer?
Well, yeah, I guess most of it really comes down to, like you were saying, it's about configuring the software for efficiency and productivity, right? You get into these, especially on the high end, the CAD systems or people who are working very heavily in Bluebeam or trying to find some kind of reasonably priced or reasonably functional project management system in the construction space. It's not easy to find those without a crazy amount of software expense and downtime and training and constant updates. So what we wound up doing early on in the consulting stage, right, when we first moved into this, we were just working with people to just help them configure their software, right? Configure the software, get it to do what you need it to do, help you develop a reliable, repeatable workflow. And that's, we still do a lot of that now, but one of the things is that does take time, right? If you say, Jim, I need you to do my entire workflow from start to finish, well, that may take us, 300 or 400 hours of time to get in and work that for you. And that's a big job for a lot of those, small and mid-sized companies that we do deal with. They couldn't always afford that. So one of the things we did is said, we have done so much of this work at this point. We're so good at it. We kind of have a baseline, a best practices set of recommendations, tools, and features. And we said, why don't we just put those into kind of a predefined package that's not going to meet everybody's needs, but maybe it meets 50% of the folks out there who want to go for our Zen Estimate Steel, right? Or our HVAC or dashboarding issues, or like I said, the Zen Pipe for the civil 3D pressure networks. Things that people couldn't really configure and structure easily themselves, but that we said, almost all of our customers need these base changes to their processes and their tools. So we put those into a predefined package for, some reasonable price that you can just go on our website and say, yeah, you know what, that gives me 85% of what I need. Let me just buy that for a few $100 and we'll move on. And if I need it tweaked or adjusted, now I can go back to ZenTek and say, hey, can you customize this more than the out of the box one that we bought? And we've done that a lot. Zen Estimate Steel is a great example. We've got a lot of clients who buy it, love it, use it for a year, and then come back and say, hey, you know what? This is a great tool, gets me 85% of everything I need, but we do some very specific things in our company. Can you add that on for us to the tools? And we're like, absolutely. And it makes a much more affordable, reasonable, price and process for us to continue working with folks. So that was kind of the drive behind that.
Excellent. And it goes right back to the consulting role that we discussed earlier, where clients feel they can always come back and work with us and we'll help them become more productive by delivering a solution that works for their needs.
Yeah.
We recently added a new section to our website. We called it Tech Flow. Jim, I know this is one of your key initiatives. Would you be able to give us a quick overview of what is Tech Flow and how you see it benefiting the market?
I better be able to, because I had to give a good overview for you and Rocco so you guys had an idea what I was talking about. And really what it is, Tech Flow, it's really two systems, right? So the areas where we have just been doing a crazy amount of work on the consulting side is in really helping people in two key industries, the construction space and in the government and public facilities spaces. And what we're doing here isn't really software specific. It's about getting into these large projects and these large facilities and taking a look at their entire workflow process, right, from start to finish, and what software they're using and how they're, dealing with all of these different items like, file control, file access, space inventory, planning. And what we've been doing just a lot of is when we get in, we start to talk to people and we're really integrating sometimes 6 or 7 different software processes together. Right? And again, usually software that they already own and license, but we're showing these guys how they can take and they can integrate and make the workflow that is going to be best for them using the files and the software they already have that people know how to use, but to do it in better ways. Right? And that's where we're in with the Tech Flow. It's taking the technology and the workflow and kind of putting them together. And what we've done in this space is we're doing these kind of bi-weekly video casts. Right? Tech Flow for construction, Tech Flow for government and public facilities, where what I'm doing is kind of taking the basic steps that I think everybody should look at, and showing them how you can optimize what you're already doing to hit industry best practices. And it's the kind of thing that potentially they can do it on their own, which that's fine. That's what Tech Flow is there for, to help guide you along the process and get you thinking about the right ways, the best ways to do this. And to let you know that, of course, ZenTek is here to help. This is where we really specialize and where we've really been growing over the last few years. Particularly said in this concept of digital dashboarding, right, where we're able to build using base PDFs, right? Hyperlinked, cross-linked, intelligent data so that people can find the files that they need. You can control access to those files. And when I say find the files you need, I mean, it's as simple as, hey, there's my building. I need to know, the floor plan for the second floor bathroom. Instead of having to remember that that's on such and such server, it's under the project folder, project 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's under the subfolder for drawings, under revision 1, it's file 15. That's crazy, right? We spend hours every day trying to search that way. Isn't it much easier if you just go and there's a picture of the building? You click on the building, click on the third floor, click on the bathroom. There's your plans. Things like that, right? Trying to make everything graphic and automated. And we've gotten to the point now where we're integrating all of that, Steve, with one of our newer partnerships here is with Matterport, which is the 3D laser scanning and photogrammetric integrations, and being able to cross connect all of those digital dashboards with these 3D models, which in turn gives the ability to put hyperlinks and tags on all the equipment inside of a facility. Right. So you can go in and click on your water heater and you can see the last time it was serviced, and you can have a link for a service request form and the cut sheet and the installation manual and anything you can imagine, even a video link on how to operate it properly or restart the pilot light, whatever, anything that people can imagine. Right. And when they look and say, what's the ideal work state? What would I just love to be able to have my people do that we can't do today? Usually with the TechFlow process, we can make that happen. So that's kind of a long-winded answer. How's that?
That's excellent. And I'm really excited about it, the digital dashboards and what it delivers for clients, and the time saving is just unreal. That you can go to one location, one interface, and search for just about anything. And so that's a huge time saver for clients, and really think that's going to be a game changer for us and for the marketplace. So
I agree.
On that front, I would like to thank you and Rocco for joining me today on the initial, or the very first Frozen Layer podcast. Do appreciate your support and your time today. And until next time, keep freezing those layers.